Hello, this is Ramdas, and you are the satsang, and we are communicating at this very moment, all around the world. I can't see you, but I know you're there. Last week, I was invited to give a speech or a talk in a local school. It was a talk about God. And I was appearing on a panel. And there was a panel, a philosopher, a minister, and me. And the questions were raised by the philosophy club of the school. And the question was, were we to take the existence of God seriously, how would our lives change? The if gave me a shaking, because ever since I was with Maharaj-ji, I do take the existence of God seriously. And up on the stage, I was thinking that I was taking God seriously. And I talk about Maharaj-ji, but I don't talk about God. I talk about Hanuman, but I don't talk about Ram. And I tried to recall how Maharaj-ji was a doorway to God. Because before Maharaj-ji, I never thought of myself as as somebody who had faith in God. And when I was young, God was somebody with a long beard and sitting up in heaven. And I didn't take it seriously. But the things that happened with Maharaj-ji gave me faith in God. And there were faith in certain aspects of God. Well, many of you know the story of the biscuits. I was up with Maharaj-ji in Kenshi near Nanito in the Himalayas, and I had to go to Delhi to get my visa taken care of. And I took the bus, which was about a long bus ride, and I was dressed as a sadhu. I was in an alfi, which was it's a potato sack, and I was long hair and lots of beads and barefoot, and I finished my business in Delhi, and I was hungry. So I very pucka vegetarian restaurant. It's near Connaught Circus. Because I wanted good food. And the people in the restaurant are all surprised when I walked in because I was a sadhu. But I was a Western sadhu. And I noticed they all looked at me. And I took a table that was near the wall. It was a booth for the wall, and I ordered the vegetarian food, and but only things that a sadhu would eat, and dal and rice and I had a wonderful, sumptuous meal. And then the dessert came, and I think it was sweet rice, and in it were two biscuits. The biscuits were not yogi food. But the Jewish boy from Boston, he wanted those biscuits. And people around me were looking at me. I blessed the food, but I knew, and they knew, those biscuits were not yogi food. So what I did, being a smart guy, I looked up at the ceiling like that, which got them all to look up there. And while they were looking up there, I moved the biscuits and pocketed them from by the wall. I knew I had done a bad thing. Although 2 biscuits, it's a relatively bad thing. So I got up finally and got up to paid the bill and went out of the restaurant and reached into my pocket and found the biscuits, and the biscuits were delicious. They were absolutely delicious. And that was Monday. And I didn't go to go back to the bus to Nanito until Wednesday. Go up to Nanito and then go to the temple, Kenshi. And I walk into the temple, and Maharaj-ji, who's sitting across from where the temple where I entered. Ramdas, did you like the biscuits? He knew. I hid from that biscuits from everybody in Delhi, but I couldn't hide them from him. And that gave me a feeling that God is everywhere. Even now, here with you. I've told the story of my meeting Maharaj-ji, and I got to cataloging to myself about the things I knew that I wouldn't let people know. And he had just read my mind. And then I cataloged them. And I looked up at him, and he said, looked, his eyes and his face, he looked as if he were bestowing unconditional love, unconditional love. That I was afraid that if anybody knew these things about me, they wouldn't love me. And here he read my mind, and he was unconditional love. And that God was unconditionally loving. He's not punishing and so on. He's I don't see. Back in my Boston, I talked with God as He, she, it. God is consciousness. God is awareness. And awareness is not he or she, because there's no he and she in spirit. Then when you were with Maharaj-ji, the field in which the vibration around him was very much different than the vibration I was used to having. And that vibration that surrounded Maharaj-ji was timeless. You could go into Maharaj-ji at 2 o'clock, and the 2 o'clockness, as you walk to him, it was just irrelevant, because there was timeless awareness, timeless awareness. And that was God too. And in that timeless awareness, there was compassion. Maharaj-ji had compassion, a full of heart compassion, and it was catchy. It was catchy because we all felt compassionate when we were in his surround. One of the things that characterized Maharaj-ji is Leela, is the game, rasa, the dance, he was humorous, and he had a humorous way of the game. We were involved with him. And yet we took our game seriously. But he didn't. He didn't. Another aspect of God. The Leela. The Leela. And often Maharaj-ji said to somebody, you and I were together in a past incarnation. And I've thought about incarnations from those statements. And that has made my fear of death much more trivial. And God looks at a human being's incarnation has a perception of us, of just not this incarnation, of this life. And so when I want to look at my life from God's point of view, the Ramdas saga is a freeze frame on a movie. Because I couldn't understand why I became Ramdas in this lifetime. I went from Richard Alpertness to Ram Dassness, and nothing in Richard Alpert, nothing foreshadowed Ram Dassness. But then there was incarnations in the past. Maharaj-ji, I have a picture of him, and he's got his finger up like that. And I always took that picture as, you better watch out. And Krishnadas told me that picture was Maharaj-ji saying, only one, there is only one. Sub-ek. 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 And that is God. God is the whole works. The whole enchilada is God. And you can feel that you are a part of that. A tree is a part of that. The ocean is a part of that. And that reduces your loneliness and reduces your individuality. We can take our individuality, take it and use it every day. But then when we think of God, we realize we're a part of the whole thing. And so I think now, I surrender to God. I surrender to the whole. I just surrender to the suffering, to the joy. I surrender to the big awareness. Big awareness. Like, I've got a new mantra. I am loving awareness. I am loving awareness. Awareness is in the heart. It keeps you, by saying you are identifying with awareness, awareness of what your eye is seeing, what your ear is hearing, what your skin is feeling. And also, and the awareness is our soul. soul is aware of life. And that's our individual soul. And then let us go into awareness. You get to that from Jivatman to Atman. Get to the awareness in us. Gods of awareness. And our consciousness is like a finger of God's consciousness. God is seeing from each of us, from each vantage point of each of us. And that's why when we want to go inward, we will find wisdom, compassion, love, peace. It's all in us. It's all in us. All in us. And they say loving awareness because you are aware of everything in your purview. And you can love everything because Maharaj-ji said to me, Ram Das, love everybody. And because I identify with my soul, I am identifying with the awareness. The soul loves everybody. The ego, nah, but the soul loves everybody. Remember, Maharaj-ji said, Ram Das, love everybody. And I said, I can't, Maharaj-ji. I was identifying with my ego. And he said, Ram Das, love everybody. And then I was going, he was saying to me, this is who you are now. And I was standing near Maharaj-ji, and right between us was, I imagined, a coffin. And in that coffin was me who couldn't love everybody. He was saying, you can leave that one to rest. Now you'll be somebody who will love everybody. You will be a soul. And that, when at that speech at the school, I saw how how strong my faith was. My faith of God. Faith of God. I had I spoke about this one of these talks. Because I used to think that I would develop my faith and Maharaj-ji would shower down grace. And faith and grace, and I would then have the experience of grace as long as I had faith. But then KK, who is KK? He's my Indian brother. He was sitting on Maharaj-ji's lap when he was a child. He's now old as I am. And he said, why do you think you have to develop your faith? Why don't you ask Maharaj-ji? So I started to say, Maharaj-ji, give me faith. And he apparently gave it to me. Maharaj-ji is a model of one thing, that is Seva. That's because, I don't know why, but he has Hanuman as his Ishtadev. And Hanuman comes to God through service. And that is when you do service, you get a feeling of grace. I think service, which the earth to people, but you've got to figure that service is dharmic. So the service is for God. Hanuman gave service to Ram. Service is bhakti yoga. It's the heart yoga. And when God receives your service, it's a bond. It's a bond that you can feel. You can feel. Like I identify with my soul. And then, since a soul looks for a soul, I see a soul coming down the street. The person coming down the street may think she or he is one of the roles of life. But I see a soul. I love that soul. I love that soul. And I serve as a mirror of that soul. And that person coming down the street has new soulness because of having met me down the street. That's what I do for God. Each of us has that opportunity to be a soul maker. Each of us. You. Yeah. So now I'm going to start thinking about God. And there's been some, I've had three messages in the past month. One message came from a satsang member. He said it was a dream. A dream. And he said, in this dream, Maharaj-ji was talking to me, Ramdas. And Maharaj-ji said, it's good to worship me, but it's better to be like me. Like me. Come up here beyond the clouds. That was one dream. One girl had a vision in which I turned into Maharaj-ji. I mean, you can do it too, you know. It's just that soul business. It's just because I was worshiping the doorway, Maharaj-ji. And finally, after this, the school scene, I am worshiping God. Which is I still can see when I left the temple for the last time before that I was seeing Maharaj-ji. And Maharaj-ji in this distance, and he was in this tucket, and he was looking up at the hills. He was alone. He was meditating. He was making contact with God. Remember, I said earlier, God isn't a person. God is awareness. God is the one. God is consciousness. I will nestle in with my awareness, to nestle into that vast awareness, and I'll surrender. I'll surrender to that awareness. Because that awareness is aware of much, much. Goodbye. This is I don't know what this is. Oh, you're all so dear, so dear. So very dear. I could just feel it in my heart. Just feel you out there. There's no out there. You're feeling you in here with me. Yeah. Namaste.